Hello there, boxing fans around the world. Thank you for joining me once again here on Talkin Fight, another episode of Boxing News Headlines. Today we're going to talk primarily about the upcoming Olympics and the various amateur championships that are scheduled to take place, being managed by the people at the IBA, who are not in good stead, quite frankly, with Team GB, not to mention Boxing USA or Team Ireland. Anyway, let's start off with what Team GB had to say. Boxers from GB Boxing Squad will not participate in the forthcoming IBA Women's World Boxing Championships, which are being held in New Delhi this upcoming March from the 15th to the 25th. They say this decision reflects ongoing concerns about the future of boxing's place on the Olympic program and the recent move by IBA to allow boxers from Russia and Belarus to compete under their national flags, which contravenes resolutions passed by the IOC in February and December of 2022. So this decision has put further distance between the IBA and the Olympic movement, in addition to the significant long-standing issues over sporting integrity, governance and transparency, and financial management, which the IOC has asked IBA to address to protect boxing's place on the Olympic program. Says here, Team GB condemns the Russian invasion of Ukraine and has solidarity with the people, boxers, coaches, and officials of Ukraine. GB Boxing's participation at the IBA Men's World Boxing Championships in May 2023 is under review, and the board will make a decision on this closure to the event soon. The forthcoming Team GB is committed to delivering the best possible preparation for our boxers in the build-up to Paris 2024, and we will continue to work with national federations and tournament organizations to provide training and competition opportunities in advance of the Olympic qualifying events. So, further to that, the IBA has some comments itself with respect to, let's call them allegations or accusations and or resolutions that are being passed by these governing bodies. The International Boxing Association has offered a critique of a planned boycott of the women's and men's boxing world championships by the United States and Ireland, and now Britain, vowing to pursue strong sanctions against those who initiate and join it. It has also vowed to support boxers who wish to compete regardless of the boycott. So they're offering some financial incentive for individual boxers to go and participate in their various championship and tournaments. And the IBA, as we all know, is formerly AIBA, has been suspended by the International Olympic Committee since 2019, but relations have had an all-time low, meaning boxing has been left off the International Los Angeles 2028 program and could still be dropped from Paris 2024. USA took its decision to boycott the IBA's flagship events because of government's concerns, financial irregularities, and lack of transparency, as well as the decision to allow Russian and Belarusian boxers to compete under their own flags. The Irish Boxing Association expressed similar issues for its decision, notwithstanding the fact that men's boxers are paid practically double in prize monies at these amateur events, as opposed to the women who take part in these events as well. So for various issues that are now coming to the surface, we know that the fellow who's in charge of the IBA, Mr. Kremlov, has had some strong opinions, and he recently commented that officials who voted for a boycott are worse than hyenas and jackals. And the IBA has requested the McLaren Independent Investigation Team investigate the statement of its executive director, Mike McAtee, and the IABA leadership, that's the Irish board. It has disputed several of the arguments made by USA Boxing, insisting a Moscow office of the IBA does not or has never existed, in response to claims that the role of the president's office in the Russian capital has increased. USA Boxing also argued that the IBA failed to address the drastic change of culture requested by the IOC and cited Kremlov's comments that not a single boxer, coach, or national federation will be participating in the Olympic Games without IBA. The IBA referenced a report from August last year by the former governance reform group led by Ulrich Haas, which said good governance grows over time and needs to be constantly evaluated and nurtured through continuous training and refreshing of the leadership. Defending oversight of the field of play, the IBA claimed this has seen continuous improvement since 2021, including the use of artificial intelligence assessments with follow-up interviews. Responding to USA Boxing concerns over sponsorship deal with Russian majority state-owned energy giant Gazprom, the revenue of which prompted a warning from the IOC that boxing could be dropped altogether from Paris 2024. The IBA claimed that it has a sponsorship deal with Gazprom and it expired at the end of last year, but nothing legally prevents IBA to cooperate with Gazprom. So obviously that is ongoing. Now, an article out of SBS News, I believe that's in Australia, as to why boxing could be dumped from the 2024 Paris Games. The IOC has warned that boxing faces being excluded from the 2024 Paris Games as its Russian-led world body has no real interest in the sport. The IBA was stripped of involvement in the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, and boxing is not on the initial program for the 2028 Los Angeles Games, pending reforms demanded by the IOC. Qualifying for Paris 2024 boxing tournaments is being organized by the IOC, but it said on Thursday last week that concerns regarding the IBA mean it will take further decisions that may have to include the cancellation of boxing for the Olympic Games Paris 2024. The recent IBA Congress has shown once more that IBA has no real interest in the sport of boxing and the boxers, but is only interested in its own power. An IOC spokesman said the decisions and discussions to keep boxers away from the Olympic qualifiers and the Olympic Games cannot be understood differently. The IBA is run by Russian Umar Kremlev with backing from Russian energy Gazprom. The IOC spokesperson said IBA extending its deal with Gazprom recently showed it had no will to understand the real issues. The extension of the sponsorship contract with Gazprom as sole main sponsor of IBA reinforces the concerns which the IOC has expressed since 2019 over and over again. This announcement confirms the IBA will continue to depend on a company largely controlled by the Russian government. An extraordinary IBA Congress in September voted against holding a new election, allowing Mr. Kremlev to remain as president after a court of arbitration for sport ruled that Dutch candidate Boris van der Vorst was wrongly prevented from standing. The spokesperson said the IOC's concerns included the handling of the CAS decision. The IOC will have to take all this into consideration when it takes further decisions, which may, after these latest developments, have to include the cancellation of boxing for the Olympic Games Paris 2024. And by the way, earlier this month, the IBA accused Olympic organizers of persecution in response to its suspension over governance and finance issues. So the battle rages on the amateur, put that in air quotes, the amateur front. Moving on to professionals, it looks like Matchroom has a new addition to its roster. Edgar Berlanga has signed a multi-fight deal with Eddie Hearn and Matchroom. Berlanga is 20-0 with 16 knockouts, shot to fame when his blistering speed and devastating power led to an astonishing run of 16 first-round knockouts from his debut in June 2016 to December 2020. And he landed his first pro title in 2021 in October, picking up the vacant WBO NABO super middleweight belt, decisioning Marcelo Cocheres in Las Vegas. The 25-year-old Brooklyn star has been a huge hit in the Big Apple, packing the Hulu Theater at Madison Square Garden with his loyal hometown and Puerto Rican support in his most recent battles with Steve Rolls and Alexis Angula. On those nights in March and June, Berlanga defended his WBO NABO titles with unanimous decision wins over 10 rounds to cement his lofty world ranking. So congratulations to Matchroom and Berlanga. Now we'll move along to a little bit of news about the women in boxing. One of boxing's most highly decorated amateurs in the female ranks, 21-year-old Iyana Verduzco, known as Right Hand Roxy, will be making her professional boxing debut live on BLK Prime pay-per-view from the Gateway Center. It's just outside of Atlanta, Georgia, at College Park. And Verduzco will be campaigning at featherweight and will square off against Jessica Emmerich, who's 1-0, by the way, with one draw in a scheduled 4-round bout. This is on the undercard of the Broner versus Williams Jr. fight, which will be broadcast worldwide, as we know, on BLK Prime, an event distributed by Integrity Sports Media. Interesting. Haven't heard of those fellas before. Anyway, back to the women. Iyana, who was 21-time national champion, stands at 5'3" and fights out of a southpaw stance. Her amateur record was an astonishing 101 wins with only 6 defeats. She was 3-time international gold medalist and has been honing her skills for years, training tirelessly to make her dream of becoming a professional boxer a reality. And now the moment she has worked so hard for has finally arrived. And by the way, she's trained by her mom, Gloria. Her opponent, Jessica Emmerich, may have an undefeated record, but Iyana is ready to show what she's made of. She's confident in her abilities and has been preparing tirelessly. With lightning-fast reflexes, technical prowess, and the heart of a champion, Iyana is poised to make a lasting impression on the world of boxing, says these people. I would imagine the people at BLK. Here we go. Let's go over to Shane Mosley. The undercard of the Neri versus Hovhannisyan has been finalized to support a main event matchup with potential Fight of the Year contender status written all over it. Former 2-division world champion Luis Pantera Neri, 33-1, 23 knockouts, fighting out of Tijuana, Mexico, and Azat Crazy A Hovhannisyan, 21-3, 17 knockouts, fighting out of Los Angeles by way of Yerevan, Armenia, will fight in a 12-round WBC Super Bantamweight title eliminator match to get one step closer to a coveted opportunity to fight for a world championship. The event is being presented in association with Zen for Boxing, by the way, and scheduled to take place at the Fox Theater Pomona and broadcast on DAZN. In the co-main event, as I said, Shane Mosley will be fighting. He's 18-4, by the way, 10 knockouts, and returned to the ring after successfully defeating Gabe Rosada, very majority decision, back in April 2022, to fight in a 10-rounder super middleweight division against Chihuahua's Mario Lazono, 33-10, 24 knockouts. Lazono, by the way, is coming off a long layoff after a valiant effort against Liam Beefy Smith in August of 2019. Also on the DAZN undercard, Ricardo El Nino Sandoval, 20-2, 50 knockouts out of Rialto, will participate in a 10-round flyweight bout against Herzon Ortiz, 17-6, out of Managua, Nicaragua. Sandoval will be attempting to avenge his loss against David Jimenez last July 2022. And opening up the DAZN broadcast, Rowdy Legend Montgomery, 8-4-1, out of Victorville, will face Christian Russo Alifas, 22-8, out of San Isidro, in an 8-round super middleweight match. Good stuff. And for the final story of the day, new release just coming in regarding someone who wants to make it big in the world of boxing. Here we go. Titling their press release, Disrupt Boxing. Sorry, got it wrong already. Disrupt Promotions announces its entity in... My goodness, have another coffee. Disrupt Promotions announces its entry into the global boxing industry. Thank you. Disrupt Promotions is a newly formed sports promotions company focusing primarily within boxing, with its ambitions to expand into other combat sports on a global basis. The company intends to be disruptive by revolutionizing and modernizing sports in order to enhance entertainment value and stakeholder worth. Many popular spectator sports, which have become stale or tangled up in politics and bureaucracy, have successfully been re-engineered and commercialized to enhance entertainment value and engagement for spectators, while also attracting new audiences and creating additional value for stakeholders through sustainable income streams and brands. The current and upcoming generations have unsatisfiable thirsts for media content, and in particular a desire to be interactive with heightened engagement. These are particular areas of focus in both the medium and long term for Disrupt Promotions while rolling up many of the traditional businesses in the sector and creating a brand that fighters, sponsors, and media outlets want to be associated with. The company has been formed by a group of prominent business leaders from the UK and South Africa who share the vision of disrupting, consolidating, and modernizing the boxing sector. The intention is to move the company into the public capital markets in the near future once the first stage of consolidation of numerous key assets has been achieved. Disrupt Promotions is in advanced discussions with numerous acquisition targets, fighters, media outlets, strategically aligned businesses, and sponsors in order to enable it to move at a rapid pace with its expansions plan. So, there you go, boxing fans. All the news fit to print as we welcome a new entity into the sport of boxing, Disrupt, and we hope they do. And we hope they encourage us to join their fight as well. Thank you for joining me. Appreciate it. Remember to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. See you later on at 4 p.m. when we join Cedric Ben and Mike Orr for their show, Knuckle Up. Thank you.